Hey, welcome back to a brand new episode of the Woodpreneur podcast. This is your host, Steve. Today's guest is Danny Torres from Deadwood Revival Designs. How you doing, Danny?
Doing great, Steve, man. Thanks for having us back. It's a true honor to be part of the, what did you call it? It's just pretty much the club of people, the small group of
The
people that have
two-time
made it
club, yeah,
here,
yeah.
the
the,
two-time club. And so
the double guest.
definitely a lot has changed for us. So I'm happy to come here and be able to share that with the community. Hopefully we can bring a lot of value to people.
Absolutely. So tell everybody about I know you've been on, I don't remember, I forgot what episode you were on, but it was definitely a while ago. And we've connected, we've started working together. And tell everybody what has happened to your business since we last spoke.
All right. So, our business started in 2015. And since we last spoke, when we last spoke, we were gaining some foothold, and we were kind of getting some steam going ahead. We had already one shop. We had created some good partnerships. I was still working full time. In fact, I was a full-time firefighter myself, and another one of my partners. And at the point that we talked last, I had just quit my full-time job as a firefighter, which, by the way, was killer benefits, working 3 days a week, off 4 days a week. People told me, you are freaking crazy. Do not leave your job. You have 4 days a week off. Like, you can actually just do that on the side, have the money, and still do your hustle on the side. And so I realized, and my partners did the same too, eventually, that if you want to be able to take over the island, make sure that when you get there, you burn the boats. So having that bridge where I had that comfortable, cushy job where I knew that the money was coming, at that point, I knew that I was never going to push for my business in the way that I needed to make it the thing that I wanted to do. And so since then, both of my partners, as of this year, are working full-time at Deadwood Revival Design.
Amazing.
Yeah, we've grown. Now we have 4 shops, an eye dry, 3 mills. We have probably over 125 logs in inventory, and a lot of growth, man.
That's amazing. What do you think was the big difference? What do you think brought you to this point? What do you think that the top 3 things like that brought you to this point?
All right, I think I've thought long and hard about this. Like, what makes us different than other people, and what is something that people can take away to help them out? I think that the first thing starts with a vision. Everything starts with a vision. You need to have a clear vision for the future. You need to see yourself where it is that you want to be, and you need to define that vision super clearly. So let's say that if you want to shop or you want certain tools, it's not enough to just say, I want to upgrade my tools. I want to do this. I mean, you really got to paint a clear picture. Like, what kind of tools? What's this? What do you see yourself doing? What kind of money do you want to be making? What kind of clients do you want to go? What kind of partnerships? So if it starts with vision, then those visions get translated into goals, And so we really believe we do this. We sit down and do exercises where we think about, what is it that we want to do? What direction do we want to take with the company? And then we set goals for the year, and then we review those goals. Mid-year, end of year, where did we end up? And so I think that those things, coupled with just mindset, and we talked about this before, everything starts at mindset. And this industry can be so hard, because ultimately any industry like this, where you're trying to make it, creating furniture and doing this and doing that, it can be difficult. It can be difficult to maintain it. And so you got to have the vision, you got to write the goals, and you have to have the mindset that leads to resilience, And I think that those things right there, and partnerships, are key to success. We are very, very good at making partnerships of all kinds. And that's really taken us to the next level.
Well, was there a particular job or a particular project that you worked on? You're like, oh my God, I think this is it. Like, I think we can really do this.
Yeah. Well, we've always thought, like, man, this thing is the game changer. Like, right now we're making 3 tables that are over $10,000. I won't talk about the exact amount, but they're over $10,000 are dining room tables. And so we think, oh my God, this group of right here is And then all of a sudden we meet the next person, and all of a sudden we meet the next person. But I think one of the most important game-changing things is we partnered up with a nonprofit organization, local, the Environmental Center of San Luis Obispo, and we applied for a CAL FIRE grant. During the pandemic, I think maybe before the pandemic and as the pandemic hit, I spent months, and thankfully I have partners that still continue moving our goals forward, putting together a project proposal. And then we made it through the first stage and got to the next stage. And then eventually it's called Full Circle, a sustainable approach to urban lumber. And it's multifaceted, everything from education to tree planting to log salvaging, to creating a drying course for urban wood producers. And I think that that project is a $750,000 project that we were awarded. And that doesn't mean that we get $750,000. That's to perform the entire project. And so aside from every table that we make, we treat it like it's the most important thing that we're doing. Every partnership that we make, if you find the way to bring mutual value, like we got mentored through this process by people that we met along the way that we're very grateful for. But the grant actually kicked in August, meaning that the funding started, the machinery started coming, all the benefits, and we started being able to make the impact in the community. And I think probably that's the biggest game changer. That's what allowed the full jump of everybody over.
When you think about what drives and motivates you, because I think when we met, and I think it was because at the time we were working with Granberg and you were pushing Granberg, like you were using your Granberg mill a lot, right? And making really big old slabs. And like, I always saw that you had a vision, something bigger. And I remember when we met too, like in person at that conference, the California Urban Forest Council conference. It's like you just had like this vision. It was like a spark that I kind of knew that like you're like a force on yourself. Like what do you think motivates you to pursue a bigger vision than just selling tables?
Well, I think one of the things is personally my partners and I want to make sure that we're able to do this, that we love, and that we could sustain it. And one of the ways that I found being able to do this is like, you got to think about bigger impacts than just making furniture. And making furniture, don't get me wrong, that's fantastic. That turns out to be the platform that acts like a springboard to get us all these partnerships. But ultimately, we believe and find ourselves to be a triple bottom line business. And so most businesses, I'll explain that. Most businesses work on a single bottom line, and the bottom line is to make profit. Our business is a triple bottom line. And so that means planet, people, profit. And so what that means is, first, we're involved in a lot of environmental stuff. So that's our tree planting, that's our carbon sequestration, that's our education, that is everything that we do. We donate trees with every single purchase. There's a percentage that goes. And so like if you buy a table from us, we might plant through a donation to a nonprofit 200 trees. And then we let the customer know about that. We educate them. So that's planet. People, we're into educating people. That's why we're developing the urban wood drying course, because I think that there's that need in the market to learn. Everything starts at drying. If you don't have dry lumber, you cannot make beautiful things. And so there is and then the next step is going to be giving people skill sets. Like I envision that we're going to create an apprenticeship program that we can target disadvantaged communities and low income communities. Me, myself, and my partner Pepe, we're both Latinos, and I came from a background where I didn't have, we weren't missing food or anything like that, but growing up in Puerto Rico, it was a pretty humble beginning. And so I think that many people across in my path had led to mentoring me, to giving me a set of skills that then I'm employing right now to use. And so I want to use that with other people. There's a saying, it's like each one teach one. And so when you make it to the top, reach back, grab the next person, bring them up. And we really believe in that. And then the last thing, and sometimes, some people say, well, that should be the first thing, it's profit. I believe that if you do what you do, and I think that we all feel like this at Deadwood, if you're passionate about what you do, the profit is a result of that passion and providing a service. And so we don't have to focus so much on that, even though obviously that's very important, because that kind of seems to fall into place the more that we become passionate about the planet and the environment and making these partnerships.
That's amazing. How do you approach partnerships? Because like I've used partnerships and the ability to network as one way to grow your business. Like you can't do things by yourself or do things in a silo. Like how do you approach partnerships, and like how do you develop those types of relationships?
Okay, so the partnership starting at the beginning is like my partners, Mitch and Pepe. And so, I hear a lot of people that are trying to make it and they're like, hey, I'm just not good at accounting. I'm not good at this portion. I'm not good at doing the administrative. And so if you have a gap in your knowledge, partner up or hire somebody that can fill that gap. And so in Deadwood, we have very specific roles. And even though we interchange and help each other out, my job is to manage the company, doing the marketing, client contacts, all the log acquisitions, all the drying and the milling. My other partner, Pepe, he focuses on all the design, and he's just incredible at also steel work and doing design. My other partner, Mitch, he's just incredible at the wood shop, and he can build anything and everything, and that's his passion. So that's the first way to approach partnerships, is like personally in your business, fill the gaps that you have with people that can help you out. Number one, and maybe that involves bringing a partner in, maybe that involves hiring a person. That's really important. The next thing is partnerships, with tools, for example. Like we knew that Granberg International wanted some ambassadors, and we thought that we can bring value to them. So ultimately, I just reached out to them one day and I just said, hey, we love your product. We've been using it since the beginning. If there's any way to have any opportunity to even feature one of our pictures in your Instagram or on your website, anything that we can do to bring value to you guys, we're willing. And that turned into a very awesome partnership that we have till this day. We work together. I would do anything for Granberg. And then from there, it's like, you have to be creative, like we have partnerships with West Coast Arborists, which is Deadwood Revival, with Sacramento Tree Foundation, which is the Urban Wood Rescue. And those people help me out, give me some guidance for the grant. And so along the way, you have to find how can you bring mutual value to people. And sometimes that's in exposing a product. Sometimes that's in sharing some of your knowledge with them. Sometimes maybe they have a gap in knowledge and I can say, hey, I've been drying this. This is how this is working. This is the pricing. These are some of the challenges that we've come across, because ultimately I don't believe that competition, I'm not threatened by any competition. In fact, I believe in sharing as much of my knowledge, and people should share as much of your knowledge as you can with other people. That comes with the each one, teach one method. But on top of that, if you share your knowledge, we just grow the industry, and the rising tide raises all ships. So
That's cool. And then, so I like that, like it begins with your partnerships and then your partners internally, and then, find ways to mutually benefit everybody else. How, in terms of your business, what about customers? How are you, what was the thing that helped you start developing more of these, selling higher end tables and doing these, amazing jobs? I remember when we finally met up in person, you started doing stuff with wineries. Like you started I think what Deadwood is really good at is like really showcasing and creating products in the context of its environment, right? Like Central Coast, California. Like tell me about like your approach to like developing these types of partnerships with your clients.
Well, here in California, we're lucky because this is a state that's very environmentally conscious. And so number one, people right now are moving in a place where we see the trouble that the planet is in. We see constant change. We see bigger storms. We see this and we see that. And we found, number one, that people love the story of something local because they understand that it's sustainable, and they understand that that they actually have a connection to it. So it's not this thing that got shipped from overseas or from some other part of the country, or it's not something from IKEA. Not that there's anything wrong with people owning things from there, but ultimately the people that we're seeking are people who want to connect with a story. And then we are very invested into making them a part of that story. Everything from sharing videos of the building process with them, having them come by and check out things. We develop computer rendering so they can see the process before. So we've really gotten sophisticated at the way that we do our presentation. Of course, our furniture building skills have gotten better, and our designs have gotten much more complex. And then on top of that, it's a lot of times is word of mouth. So we focused a lot on trying to build social media for a while, our website. And even though we haven't been that active lately on social media, if you type custom furniture and here in San Luis Obispo, we're the first ones that are going to come up. And then on top of that, what I've done is we've really talked to people about the importance of reviewing us. So not only are we the first people, we're actually the most reviewed, 5-star reviews. The most reviews out of any furniture store or any furniture maker in this whole area are us. And then from there, it's like, you please one person, they tell somebody else. You please one person, they tell somebody else. And people see our work. Actually, sometimes we stamp the top of our the top of our pieces of furniture. And we've gotten calls from a project that we did in San Francisco where they're like, hey, saw your wood. Like, did you guys make this? Well, absolutely. And so that turns into an incredible job. And so the Google has helped, the social media has helped, doing a really good job being invested into people and focusing on reviews and the story, giving people a story, making it different. Like when people talk to me, I don't focus just on the furniture. Like, man, I'm so invested into people. I want to hear about your story. What do you got going? What's your vision? You just got a new house. Oh my God, that is so awesome. I'm so happy for you. Tell me about your vision for your house. Okay, well, and this is what we do. And this is why you should be working with us. And here's what we can do. And so it's not just like, oh, you need a dining table? Okay, well, how, people feel the difference, like they care, like they're talking to somebody that's not just trying to sell you something real quick. And I think that goes a long ways.
So why don't you tell me, what does the future hold for you guys?
Man, the future is so bright right now. So first of all, this CAL FIRE grant and the partnership with the Environmental Center of San Luis Obispo, full circle, a sustainable approach to urban lumber. And honestly, I'll just say, if anybody wants to find out what we're doing with that, that'll be thefullcircleapproach.com, thefullcircleapproach.com. Check it out. And so what does it hold? We want to become people that are leaders in the industry that are helping build skills for other people, number one. And so that means that we're going to be coming out with this drawing course. There'll be 3 workshops that are going to be starting on Q1 of 2022. And so it'll be a 3-day workshop that focuses on everything that's drying. And so that starts from understanding how a material behaves, how lumber behaves, what the qualities are. You'll be understanding how to air dry it, how to stack it properly. You'll be understanding what kind of kiln technologies are, how to work different kilns, what the financials are behind actually drying something, and what the possibilities and what it costs you if you don't. And so that's one, is teaching. So we'll have this course through the grant, and then we plan on doing this course subsequently year after year after year in perpetuity. So that's one. The second one is just teaching people in high schools, colleges. That's also part of the project. So we're going to get to talk to future architects. We're doing a partnership with the Cal Poly College of Architecture and Environmental Design, where we're going to be allowed to talk to their senior, junior, freshman class, sophomore, and then we'll be talking about urban lumber as a material, how it's wasted, what does it mean to waste that material, what are the impacts, how can you use it in the built environment. Ultimately, we want to influence material. Well, we want to target material influencers, be that designers, architects, and all that stuff. And then we're teaching the elementary, secondary, and post-secondary, because ultimately those people are going to be the people making decisions in the future. And so we need to educate them so we can get more businesses and industry, and so we can push this these environmentally conscious practices forward. So it holds teaching, and furniture making is, of course, one of our pillars. drying, man, like drying wood. There is almost nobody out here, particularly in California, that likes to dry wood for other people. There's people that own kilns and eye dries, but unfortunately, and I understand why, they don't want to take, number one, they want to dry their own stuff, which is understandable. Number two, they don't want the liability of drying for somebody else, and then something happens and then you are left in this uncomfortable position. Number one, there's ways to protect yourself with that, with a waiver, with educating people. And number two, there's tremendous opportunity. So we envision ourselves owning several of these machines. We're already down. Number one is there, and the talks for how do we get number two is the next, and number three. And then I want to have one of the biggest slab inventories and most diverse slab inventories in dimensional lumber in California. And so that is starting now with all these new machines that we have, all this new capacity that we have. So it's going to be more capacity, teaching, more connection in the community. So it's like I plan on applying for other grants. We plan on applying for other grants and just making more impacts in the community. And dude, just partnerships, all this stuff, you know, ultimately that's kind of the plan for growth for the future.
That's awesome. I love the vision, and I love how it just keeps getting bigger. And
It gets out of control sometimes.
Well, I mean, I think the biggest thing too is like when you're able to, you know, convince you know, one of the largest economies in the world, like the state of California, to give you money to base off of this vision, like you normally you will step up, right? And so now that's what you're doing. You're stepping up. And it's providing you with another opportunity to like make a bigger impact, right? And so like I love that a lot. So this is the part of the podcast where I give you any marketing or business advice. So tell me what is something that you guys are thinking through that you need help with.
So ultimately, we need to find out how to penetrate bigger markets. So ultimately, I want to we're doing fantastic already, but we want to learn how to double, triple our income here, our revenue at Deadwood, so we can make a larger impact, so we can be more focused on the mission. And so I think one way is how do we get into markets such as San Francisco, Los Angeles, Santa Barbara, and then after that, once we get a foothold in that, then it would be nice to go national. Right now, a lot of our furniture jobs are local, you know, we're even within a couple 100 miles of here, and then some are further. But ultimately, a lot of the stuff is just here, local businesses, restaurants, wineries, architecture firms, which is great. But like, we need to hit bigger markets.
Yeah, I think, you know, we talked about this. So like the local stuff is going to normally happen with, you know, paid advertisement, right? That's going to help you get, but it's kind of like, you know, in the war analogy, there's like air, land, you know, sea, right? And so with some of these bigger places, these bigger jobs, these bigger entities, you know, it's about developing relationships with these architectural buyers, these corporate buyers, whether it's scraping large databases, mailing them portfolios, and then, you know, sending them to like, you know, here, I mean, here's an idea that you could do is like scrape a large database of architects, designers, you know, contractors in your target market, right? Scrape a large database, mail them a brochure, or email them a one-sheeter, and you send them to a targeted URL, right? Okay. And the URL is deadwoodrevival.com/ you know, for you, right? And it's like you get there and like so you can track that, right? And then you get there and they see a video of you standing in front of it. It's like, hey, I want to show you how I made this and how I can do this for your clients. And then you do, like, because you're good at the videos, right? Like you show from the tree cutting down to the milling, to the finishing, to the presenting, like and then you're like, I want to do this for you and your clients. Like, let's set up a 30-minute call and I can walk you through the process. And if you have anything coming up in which you need urban forestry, and by the way, I have one of the largest grants in the state of California for this. We are about this life. And imagine telling your Imagine telling your clients that that you knew where the trees came from and it was sustainably harvested. That could be part of your story. That could be part of your selling proposition to any of all of your clients. And we are your partners for it. Like, you do a video like that.
Damn, Steve, you just come so good off the cuff. Now, man, you're incredible. That was incredible.
Dude, that was it. Like, and then like on that page, there's like a form, and then you take them to like book a call with you, and then you schedule a call. But like, you could scrape a big database of people, mail them, send them to a page, right? And if you want, you'd be like, hey, if you book a call with me right now, I will buy you a cup of coffee from Starbucks, or I will plant a tree in your name if you book a call with me. I will plant a tree in your name.
Yeah, that's the one right there. That is incredible. Yeah, because that's so much.
Book a call with me. I'll plant a tree in your name.
Yeah, we're already at year to date over 3,000 trees planted.
Wow.
Since we started the company, not year to date.
Wow.
Since we started, we're already at over 3,000. And so,
Wow.
you know, the goal is like,
That's
there is
inspiring.
no limit to it, you know, and like, I think this year we're at over 306 metric tons of carbon captured. And so that's the cool thing about the grant, is that we're thinking of numbers like that. And like, we often don't think about that. A lot of these urban wood people are doing this kind of work, but you wouldn't know that that equates to this. And then what does that mean? How many vehicles off the road? How much this, how much that? But anyways, that's genius what you just said. I think that would be very helpful.
Dude, I love that. The fact that you were keeping track, like, that's part of your selling proposition. Like, I should see that on your website. That should be like, hey, look, like, we're not just making this furniture, like, we've captured this much carbon. This, like, and that equates to, I remember I read this thing. I was at this conference, and this guy said that Walmart trucks, I forget, if they take the most direct route to their destinations or something like that, they would, it was something like, it was the equivalent of, like, you know, not having 200,000 cars on the road
Incredible.
a week or something. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
if you could get that, it's like, hey, we've captured enough trees that equal this.
Yeah.
Through the product. And it's like, and then you could be like, imagine your next building project. Imagine being able to go to your clients and say that you're, you know, all the tables and the finishings and the, you know, interior, like, you know, you were able to capture this in the market. So yeah, that's what I would do. I would scrape together a list, go to Fiverr, scrape together a big list, use a software like Lemlist, or a bunch of different software, a bunch of different what's that called, Gmail accounts, and only send 150 a day max before your Gmail gets spam, but put in spam filter. And you put them on a sequence, and you keep driving them to the page until they fill out the page. And maybe you can send them stories, and then maybe you can follow them on social media and just send them DM. Hey, did you get my email? Hey, did you get my email? Send them DMs of, you know what I mean? And then start tagging them. But I would build a list, but then of those 100, I would narrow down to 100 and like literally figure out how to talk to them every week.
That's awesome. I like that. I like
100, like 100 focused dream architects, designers, clients. Boom. Like, you're like, I mean, you'll probably add a couple hundred extra thousand to your revenue right there.
You know, and one of the things, thank you, that's gold right there. One of the things that you had told us, and we're excited about this, is, you know, when you hit over $250,000 in revenue, that's when you probably want to work with me at that point. And we're about to crest that already for this year. And so, and so it's also time to get somebody like you on our corner. I mean, you already provide incredible amount of information and value to this community, which honestly, I know everybody says this, but we want to thank you, man. From the beginning, everything that you do is for us, you know, and you've kind of reshaped everything, your whole life, so you can bring value to this community. And it's so valuable. And you've inspired so much confidence in us. And one of the things that you told us recently that was a freaking game changer, honestly, you said, once you come up with your price, add 25% to it. and this applied to whatever, what our skill set and the kind of furniture we're creating. But I was like, we're going to get denied. 7 out of 10 of the next jobs were a go. No questions asked. We're just confident when we said it. And so that right there increased our revenue so much. Just like one tip can be the difference.
Yeah, man.
So thank you, Steve.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome,
so
man.
much.
Thank you for working with me. I'm excited. I'm a big fan of you and the energy and the impact that you're gonna have and you already have. I'm inspired by your work, and it energizes me. Like you're the type of person I want to continue to be around, and then also too, like, I know this is going to be a very popular episode. This is going to be a big episode.
Thanks, man.
You're super inspiring, and then and just the fact that your work is amazing is going to inspire a lot in the community. So
thank you.
So tell everybody, how can people get in touch? What's your website, Instagram?
So it'll be just Deadwood Revival Design, www.deadwoodrevivaldesign.com. It'll be the same on Instagram. It'll be the same on Facebook, LinkedIn. And then of course, check out what we're doing with the grant at thefullcircleapproach.com. And then the last message to all those urban wood, just all the people who are doing urban wood out there. Stay hungry, stay hungry, have a big vision. You will make it. And it's not going to be a humble living. I used to think that making furniture for a little while there, it's like, oh, you have passion for it, but it'll be a humble living. No, that's BS. You can make it as big as you can envision. And so stay hungry.
Awesome, brother. Thank you so much, man. This is a great episode. I always love talking to you.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much.